All right, welcome to the December 8th, 2025 Community and Economic Affairs Commission meeting. Can we please call the roll?
Yes. Second to get all my stuff together again. Stephanie Ganzi,
Here.
Kirsten Erickson, Jerry Cabasco,
Here.
Bruce Suffern, Mike Densford,
Here.
Peggy O'Hare, Robert Gorski,
Here.
Amy Tulaski, Dave Weatherton,
Here.
Kinga Skotek,
Here.
Blake Cook.
Here.
Great.
All right, and just for everyone who is new, every time on our agenda, we're going to have approval of the prior meeting minutes. So you'll always want to go through that and make sure that what you said is reflected correctly in the minutes, because we will approve those, okay? So can I have a motion and then a second to approve the November 10th, 2025 meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second. Okay. So motion by Commissioner Weatherton, second by Commissioner Peggy O'Hare. All right, any questions? Nothing? All right, can we please call the roll?
Okay. Robert Gorski.
Abstain.
Kirsten Erickson. Bruce Suffern. Peggy O'Hare. Amy's absent. Dave Weatherton.
Yes.
Jerry Cabasco.
Yes.
Kinga Skotek. Blake Cook.
Yes.
Mike Densford. And Chairperson Ganzi.
Yes. And just as a side, Commissioner, Gorski abstained because he wasn't here last time, so that's an option. All right. All right, do we have any public comment? Tony, are we planning on doing the comment with civic funding, correct? Okay.
Yes.
All right, well, if there's no public comment, we'll move on to the tax increment financing overview. And so unfortunately, our technology is not working, but I believe we have some things in our packet here, is that correct?
That's correct. It's a brief summary, and I'm going to sit here and I'm still going to refer to some of my slides.
Okay.
And one of the things we talked a lot last month about some of the goals and objectives and how this commission is going to work. A big part of it being aligned with the village's economic development goals and the strategic plan. And one of the terms that you'll hear frequently, one of the things we'll talk about a lot over the years and that I've talked about personally for decades at this point, is something called a TIF. And now we realize that some of you are very familiar with it and know all about it and have participated in it to some degree or another. But for the benefit of some of the newer commissioners and some of the people who've also known about it for a long time, I'm going to go fairly quickly through the mechanisms of TIF, talk a little bit about what it is, why it's important to economic development, and then a little bit about the village's newest TIF. So, and also I'd be happy to forward this PowerPoint to the commission tomorrow. So with the memorandum that I wrote, kind of brief, but it is one of the most effective economic development tools that municipalities can use to encourage economic development. If somebody asks you in an elevator pitch or something, just what is it, and you want to give like a one-sentence answer, that's probably the best answer. It's an economic development tool to help municipalities attract, spur, and do economic development, some new development. It's also one of the few economic development tools available in Illinois. There are others, and the village utilizes others, like sales tax sharing agreements, sometimes fee waivers. Cook County offers some tax abatement programs to be more competitive with other counties. But overall, having been in this profession now, thinking about a quarter century, it really is the most powerful economic development tool in our toolbox. So what is it? It helps local governments restore blighted areas or jumpstart economically sluggish parts of town. And it's meant to help governments attract private development and new business. Don't think of it as the village is paying for everything. It's meant to work as an incentive and something to assist developers in developing their projects, preparing the land. There's many, many eligible costs. I won't go over all of them tonight, but they're all meant to help support and spur economic development. It helps local governments make needed improvements, really think about infrastructure like new roads, sewers, and water mains within something that in technical terms they will call the redevelopment project area. They always refer to it as the RPA. The way we always think of it, and most people think of it, is the TIF boundaries. It's a geographical boundary you're looking to spur development in. Improvements can typically be done without additional assessments against property owners benefiting from the improvements, and it allows redevelopment costs to be more comparable to greenfield development costs, and therefore the term incentivizing redevelopment to occur. It might be something like helping to pay for a water and sewer line, or grading, or some other type of infrastructure, roads. I could talk about the Brewster Creek Business Park TIF probably for hours, but out of the $100 million-ish that the village spent in TIF funds on that project was basically all for infrastructure. It was for grading, it was for soil remediation, it was for roads, it was for landscaping, it was for land preparation, all that kind of stuff. So the word increment, which was this slide, what does the actual increment mean? There's a little description of it in there, but basically as property values rise within an area, I should backtrack and say when a TIF is created, the total equalized assessed value, the value of all the properties by the tax assessor in that area are frozen at that point in time. So as it increases, a village, a city, we hope it increases. We plan for it to increase. As the property taxes rise, that's where the word increment comes in. If you're within a TIF district and your taxes are $10,000 when the TIF is created, and then 2 years later your tax bill, property tax bill is $15,000, the $10,000 keeps getting distributed to all the taxing districts, just like it did before the TIF was formed. The extra $5,000 goes into the TIF fund. That's used for redevelopment costs. And that might be a small example, but if you take 154 acres on Lake Street with a whole bunch of different properties in aggregate, that really can add up to some significant increment. So only the property taxes generated by the increment increase are available for use within the TIF. So one of my points here that we made even last fall as the village created its latest TIF, it's not a tax increase. It's not like an extra tax being imposed on the properties within a TIF. The tax bill will be the same whether it's in a TIF or not. The difference is in where the tax bill, when it gets split up, where it gets allocated. I had a chart for that basically demonstrates the same thing, that as property taxes rise, that additional increment goes into the TIF fund. And by the way, each TIF is different. Some barely ever take off and there's no increment. We have a TIF that's 20 years old, that this year was the first year that the value of it ever reached what the original value was 20 years ago. That's the 59 in Lake Street TIF. And then we have another TIF where the EAV started at $2 million, Brewster Creek Business Park, and it ended up around $100 million. So they're not all one size fits all, but that's the way the increment works. So all that, when I talk about the village investing close to $100 million in the Brewster Creek Business Park, that was all derived from the incremental increases in property taxes paid for the businesses that are and were within that TIF. So how's a TIF established? The first step is identifying an area with physical and economic deficiencies. The village, I'll just use Bartlett for an example because that's what we're talking about. We look at an area like Lake Street that had a bunch of vacant buildings or abandoned buildings, high vacancy rates, and things like that, and wasn't developing over the course of years and decades, while the rest of the village was. So it was initially the village within their strategic plan with the mayor and board, and along with staff identifying an area that obviously hadn't developed, wasn't developing, and wasn't going to develop unless something was done. So the village board hires a consultant to conduct a TIF study. I always joke I could talk about TIFs for hours, those of you who know me, but TIF consultant is its own profession. There's people who spend their whole career being hired by villages, cities, or throughout the state or the country, conducting TIF studies and helping municipalities come up with their TIF plan. We have a TIF plan document on our website that's probably 70 pages long that, goes as granular as talking about different PIN numbers within the TIF, and as wide-ranging as saying, we're looking for commercial development along Lake Street. But anyway, we hired a TIF consultant. The village hires a consultant called Tesca. They've done all 5 of our TIFs. They prepare an eligibility report and a redevelopment plan. That redevelopment plan, I want to stress, is a plan. It can be changed. It's not concrete. It's not etched in stone. This property has to be this or this property has to be that. There is some flexibility, but of course you need to have a redevelopment plan. You can't just say, hey, the area is a TIF, let's throw darts and see what happens. There is a redevelopment plan in place. We have to convene a joint review board is one of the steps. I know some of you have been willing to serve before on the village's joint review board. It's comprised of one representative. I think some people, with different taxing districts. Each taxing district gets to vote and make a recommendation, plus one public member, as to does this area qualify, is this a good TIF plan? They make a recommendation to the village board, whether or not to adopt it. I have a bullet point in here that we've never had to do, but it's something about TIF you should know. If necessary, we have to prepare a housing study. We've never had to do a housing study. That would be if there's a TIF created that could potentially displace 10 or more residential units. It could be 10 houses, it could be 5 duplexes, it could be a 1 building with 10 units in it. If it's something where you do a TIF and there's some residential units in it, you would have to do a housing study. Next step is conducting a public hearing for residents and other interested parties. The village always has to hold a public hearing on the TIF like we did last fall of 2024. And that's for people to ask questions, and it's just like a plan commission hearing, but it drew a lot of interest last year because the mailing requirements had to inform a lot of people in residential units that the village was creating a TIF. The last step in it is the village adopting TIF ordinances. If I recall, there's 4 ordinances that have to be adopted, not just one. Designating the area, stating that it qualifies, notifying all the taxing districts. It gets recorded with the state. So those are the steps in doing a TIF. No state or federal approval is required. They're typically 23 years. A TIF can be extended to 35 years, but that requires state General Assembly approval. And in my PowerPoint, I will note that it's a very difficult process. You need to get every taxing district. The law, TIF law gets changed all the time. As of now, you would need every taxing district in the TIF to send a letter of support for extending the TIF. So we've never extended a TIF yet. And a TIF district can also be terminated earlier if all the financial obligations are paid and all the objectives are met and the village board votes to terminate it. Eligibility, I'm going to touch on really fast. There's eligibility factors, including blighted, conservation. You look at stuff like excessive vacancies, lack of community planning. Conservation doesn't really mean conserving buildings like you might think. It's more like it's an area of older buildings, and conservation in the sense of needing to do a TIF to help properties in an area with older buildings maybe modernize or have incentives to upgrade. We have some buildings we've seen, those people on the EDC, including Mr. Suffern, who came in for a 140-year-old barn that, you know, would be an example of something that might fit into that criteria. TIFs have to meet something called the but-for requirement, meaning that development or redevelopment would not reasonably occur without financial assistance and intervention from the municipality. I touched on that a little bit earlier, but you have to essentially prove EAVs, you know, for instance, have been declining year after year. The TIF study even looks at the equalized assessed values of the area as opposed to the rest of the village. So when we looked at Lake Street, we saw the rest of the village EAV was rising consistently. As you all know, there was a lot of development in Bartlett over the past few, 5 to 10 years. The DuPage County portion of the village is typically almost fully occupied, and the EAV was ticking up. In downtown Bartlett as well, with Streets of Bartlett and more brewing and Aldi, but the Lake Street had been stagnating and declining year after year. So that's one of the things that you look at. I'm getting near the end of my PowerPoint here. In the TIF report, it describes the TIF area and its issues and challenges, spells out the redevelopment goals, provides an overall framework, and it generalizes activities and financial techniques to achieve the redevelopment goals and objectives. So for instance, many years ago, like 25 years ago, where Brewster Creek Business Park was just a depleted gravel pit. And the TIF report for that stated more or less, it's a depleted gravel pit, kind of an area that otherwise would probably be just abandoned, right? And just sit empty. So that TIF report detailed how the land could be remediated, how there could be soil. Out of the $100 million there, a large percentage of that was bringing in soil to get it ready for development. And it detailed, here's the steps you take to turn a depleted gravel and mining area into a business park. Here's an estimated budget, and here's the type of uses that would be there. And really the village, except for, even considering a few variances towards the end of it for some automotive and truck repairs, village stuck with the plan from 1999 through 2023 to develop it into a Class A business park. So that's just an example. You could look back at the TIF study done for that area and look at it and go, wow, that really is the way it worked out. Project costs, TIF budget, as I mentioned, it provides a maximum limit of expenditures by category covering a 23-year life of the TIF. I want to point out that it states it in the dollar value in the year that the TIF is adopted, and that's important because I can tell you for sure that the money that was spent and the money that was generated, actual dollars in the Brewster Creek TIF were far greater than what had been envisioned in the year it was adopted, I think 1999. Of course, there's been a lot of inflation since 1999. So what they thought might have been a $1 million road project back then might have been a $3 million road project when it actually got done. So I just want to point out that even with our new TIF, they state this budget is in 2024 dollars. The village is not committed to finance any or all of the redevelopment project costs in the plan. I want to state that explicitly, just because something's in the plan. We do have big plans for the Lake Street TIF, which is one of the reasons I'm talking about TIF tonight, is because Scott and I will be talking about the Lake Street TIF quite a bit over the coming months and years. And, okay, a housing impact study I kind of pointed on, so I'm going to skip over that. Bartlett's TIFs, we have had 5. There's 3 current ones. So the very first TIF in Bartlett, this is before my time even in doing TIFs in 1986. Apparently, that's when TIF laws were updated and changed and really pushed through in the state of Illinois. So one thing I learned while I worked for the original downtown TIF is that half the towns around here had a downtown TIF that ran from 1986 through 2009, and we extended it through 2010. So that was the original TIF in Bartlett, was a downtown TIF. The second TIF that I mentioned already, Brewster Creek Business Park TIF, is actually called the Bartlett Quarry TIF. Excuse me. And that was adopted in 1999, and that ran through 2022. And actually, we still report on it every year at the Joint Review Board because there's still money in the TIF, possibly for 1 or 2 more years, that we set aside for tax challenges, because pretty much every property owner in the TIF challenges their assessments. And we need to have money in case there's a rebate in that. There's a TIF that I mentioned earlier that really just started breaking even in I think this year, 2025. It's the Route 59 and Lake Street TIF. That's at the southwest corner of Route 59 and Lake Street. The one development that we ended up getting over there, part of it has become the parking area for the LaQuercio Bartlett Auto Mall. So it did play a very important role. It helped us land those 2 auto dealerships by the village owning some land that we could make a part of our redevelopment agreement with LaQuercio Auto Group. There's a TIF I'll talk about from time to time that's nearing full completion called the Bluff City TIF. That's out on the western edge. If you get on West Bartlett Road and drive west as far as the village goes to Route 25, there's a TIF district over there with some heavier industry. It's called the Bluff City TIF. The 2 business parks in the TIF are called the Blue Heron Business Park and the South Wind Business Park. That was adopted in 2009, so that goes to 2032. And that's most of the industrial lots are nearing build out, but there's one very large undeveloped property there right on the corner of Route 25 and West Bartlett Road. So that TIF's going to be around for a little bit longer. And then I had a bunch of stars and asterisks next to the TIF we'll be talking about a lot in the future is the Lake Street Corridor TIF, we call it. That's about 150 acres along Lake Street. And it includes 2 village-owned parcels right now, including the largest development site, 19 acres, that the village purchased a few months ago. So that's going to be one of the reasons I wanted to talk about TIF tonight, is because we'll be focusing quite a bit. When my economic development type of items come up, we'll be talking about the Lake Street TIF quite a bit. It was adopted about 1 year ago. It was adopted in October of 2024. When I say 154 acres, it sounds pretty big, but like 40-ish acres of it are owned by the school. The school over there is part of the TIF, and there's about 50 acres owned by IDOT, The village is working with IDOT. One of the things we'll talk about a lot is the Oak Avenue realignment. That's, when I talk about the village isn't obligated, but it still details plans for what we want to accomplish with the TIF. And that's one of the first major steps to make that area far more attractive for developers. So, let's see, I just talked about TIFs for about a half hour straight.
Bottom line, Tony, this is the best tool that we have for economic development, especially for this Lake Street area that wasn't developing on its own, correct?
That's a very good way to wrap it up by saying it is. You all remember there was an empty hot dog stand there for 25 years. You all remember there was an abandoned gas station for at least 10 years. And that's the type of blighted properties that the village wanted to eliminate and draw some new development to. Make that area look nice, just like, for instance, downtown Bartlett looks nice, or the intersection of 59 and Stearns where Kinga's beauty empire is located. So we want it to look attractive like that, not with a bunch of empty buildings and abandoned properties.
Yeah, so we're just asking everyone to kind of understand the basics of it. Obviously, like Tony said, there's people that dedicate their careers to understanding the ins and outs of this. 25 years ago, when I was in college, I was the TIF reporter in DeKalb, and I still have tons of questions every time we talk about it. So just kind of understand that we have the Lake Street one is this big one that we're working on. It's going to keep coming up here. You'll probably, now that you've heard more, when you see articles floating online, even outside of Bartlett, you're going to notice TIF articles now. So just kind of understanding that this is the tool that we have. It takes the village working with the other taxing bodies, and Tony is monitoring everything that's going on, and but it's probably the best tool that we have to make sure that Lake Street becomes that gateway into Bartlett, and that it's attractive to people that are traveling down that busy road.
That's right. And just to add one more thing, because I did put it in the memo, I looked up, there's a website. I mean, if any of you were really curious and wanted to dig a little deeper into it, there's an organization called the Illinois Tax Increment Association that covers TIFs, as you might imagine. I went on it, and also on the state comptroller's website when I was preparing this. There's 1,500 TIF districts in Illinois, or well, really there's more than 1,500 in 500 municipalities. So that can tell you, and it's countrywide. You go all the way to California, on the West Coast there's TIFs, or you go to New York and there's TIFs. And like I said, each one's a different area with different goals and different objectives, and we've got 3 of them, but one that we'll focus on a lot. So for the future meetings, you'll just hear me say TIF, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
And to piggyback that, you'll see this is probably going to be one of the most crucial things that you folks look at over time. You're going to see regular reports on it. We're going to go more in depth. And if you walk away tonight thinking, what in the world, that's okay. You're going to learn about it, and you're going to help guide us and make decisions. We have a lot of exciting updates for you. A few things that the village has already done in 1 year, which I would say is fairly quick. One has purchased a large parcel, about 20 acres, that's right near the Oak realignment and abuts up against the IDOT property. So it puts us in perfect position as a landowner. And buying village property sometimes can be popular or unpopular, but I would say this, within a TIF district, it's commonplace, and depending on the location of it, can be a very responsible financial decision. So we own that parcel. We also were able to take over that gas station property that Tony was talking about. We were able to work with the landowner to take down some of that blighted property near that hot dog stand that Tony was talking about. And we're also looking at a small third parcel of property that'll help develop. So a lot of the things, while you're driving down Lake Street and a year and a half goes by and you're thinking, well, nothing's new, a lot is being done on the back end and behind the scenes to set the stage for future development. And I think the fact that it's on Route 20, the longest road in the United States, I think that this TIF is going to be a regional TIF and not just a Bartlett TIF. It's going to bring us a lot of attention. It is going to bring a lot of development, and we're really excited about it. And you're going to learn more and more about it, and we're going to go more and more in depth as we offer reports. And even if nothing is happening physically, we're going to tell you what's happening behind the scenes, pull back the curtain, and show you a lot. And if you have any questions about the TIF, Tony, Stephanie, and myself will always be here for you. And we're excited to teach more about it and talk to you about really the minutia and the minute details of the TIF.
Thank you, both of you. All right, next on our agenda, we have civic funding, and I'm going to read through the brief that was prepared, just so I'll go through that before we go through all the organizations. In 2015, the Village Board adopted an ordinance to standardize and strengthen the reporting process, clarify who is receiving financial support, and clearly communicate the purpose of that support. Last year, at the request of the Village Board, staff created a matrix to help determine appropriate funding levels for each civic organization based on their submitted applications. Historically, when reviewing civic group financial support levels, the Village Board has prioritized organizations that provide a service or program the village does not currently offer, or that meaningfully supplement an existing village service program or special event. Additional considerations have included the size of the request as well as the history and reputation of the civic organization. Staff also recommends continuing to consider the amount of Public Works and Police Department time and the associated costs required to maintain a safe and successful event. In some cases, these indirect support costs can significantly exceed the direct financial assistance requested by the organization. A review of past civic organization applications shows a wide range in direct financial support from $500 for the Lions Day Dash at James Pate Phillips State Park to $14,000 for the multi-day 4th of July Festival. Because of the significant variety among organizations and events, staff reviewed the financial data to help establish appropriate maximum funding levels. These figures represent suggested caps on direct financial support and are not intended as recommended funding amounts tied to the actual cost of each event. And then below is the chart outlining the suggested maximum levels of direct financial support based on the overall cost of the program, service, or special event. And I'll turn it over to staff to give more information.
Thank you, Chairwoman Gansey. As she said, this was a program that was created in 2015 to formalize the requests. And before you this evening is several requests. I will say, before we get started, a couple things just for housekeeping. If you're standing up there and we're talking about funding for Arts and Bartlett, and if you are within Arts and Bartlett, I would just abstain. There's no legal guidelines that say you have to leave the room, but I would say don't speak, don't vote, don't participate. If you're a Lion and we come to the Lions, same thing. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Moving on, the first requests are our neighbors across the street, Arts and Bartlett. They're planning to host 10 events in Bartlett, 6 is which they hope to pay for themselves. And they're looking really to help with costs associated with stage, sound rental, band fees, and things of that nature. The events are laid out before you in the memo, as well as their funding that they received in 2026 and their funding request in 2027, and the matrix suggested max. In 2026, they did receive $11,900. They're requesting that same amount. The matrix that was proposed advises that the max would be $7,500. Again, that's just advisory. We did send all the civic groups an email inviting them this evening. One thing to keep in mind is our civic groups are made up of volunteers who quite frankly do a lot of the heavy lifting and sometimes are the lifeblood of the community. So if they're not here, I don't want you to take that as a sign of disrespect. I want you to take it as a sign of volunteerism and not being able to make it tonight. That's the first item that we have for this evening is the Arts and Bartlett. I do see somebody here representing Arts and Bartlett, Dale. And I would say, I would encourage you to ask her any questions that are specific to the Arts in Bartlett or their funding request. And if she can't answer them, I'll be happy to. And if the commission has any questions,
I think this Rhythm and Roots Market sounds really awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and maybe the impact, like with the new fountain and the area over there?
Yeah, thank you for putting in the fountain. That really wasn't, I didn't know that was going to happen. So Arts in Bartlett has hosted a series of events, or I'll outline, and one of the ones we did was a Global Arts Festival. Every year we do a Global Arts Festival. That's giving me much feedback. And we found that in Bartlett, okay, the Global Arts Festival hasn't been as well received as we were hoping. It just kind of had a lower attendance rate every year. And we do use events as a way to raise money for our organization. So I wanted to do the Rhythm and Roots Festival 2025. However, the park was being redesigned. So that wasn't possible, so we did Global Arts again, and then flushed out more for the Rhythm and Roots. And it's very wonderful, the park has been redesigned. That plays into the concept nicely. You know, Bartlett has many times tried to have farmer market, and Arts in Bartlett, to me, seems like a really good fit to manage a farmer's market. We have a lot of success with the other kinds of vendor markets we put together. So I don't see why we couldn't have the same success with a farmer market theme. And we really wanted to do it in town center. Well, let's be honest, we're getting older and we just don't want to drag all our stuff to the park anymore. So we thought it'd be really great to have it at the town center, and there's restaurants there. Another part of coordinating event is food. And I'll be honest with you, I don't like that part. So if I have it at town center, I have food. And so in my head at night, I was like, let's do a concert series. A lot of other villages do them and have a lot of success getting participation, and we can include it with the farmers market. And as an organization, Arts in Bartlett has put together a lot of events. We've had a lot of success. So we asked for no funding for our prior events because they are self-funding at this point, and Rhythm and Roots could also at some point, because it's new, I have to say, you know, I'm a little hesitant. I would really appreciate the Civic Funding to help. I mean, we have enough money to pay all the deposits, and we would do that, make that commitment, and then when the day comes of the event, it will help to have the Civic Funding to actually pay. It's the stage and the sound system and the band is really quite pricey. And the rest of it, I think we can get sponsors and have people pay fees. You know, the farmers market people would pay a fee, and I think the numbers will at least be even, if not, hopefully generate a small amount of revenue for Arts in Bartlett. That would be my goal, so.
Where is the stage going to be set?
So I would do it similar to when we did Bartlett Days. Peggy's familiar with that. She and O'Hare's were part of that. And I would put the stage at the far north end of the parking lot. So if you think about it, the fountain, the whole new park with the water, then there's the parking lot entrance. People don't really use that parking lot entrance at the far north end very much. And then there's an open area, which I believe the new owners of Town Center have put on the market. It's got a for sale sign on it, which is interesting, but anyway. So it would be in the parking lot at the end, and the stage would face south. And we've done that arrangement before, and it was quite successful. So that way, that's what I would do again. And then the vendors would be in the area that's just for sale right now. It's just an oval, grassy oval. We would put them there. And we also put them in the parking lot. They'll face east and west, and there'll be like a row of them, north and south. And that arrangement works well for us for the spring marketplace. So I would do the same thing for this event. I don't know yet whether or not we could have vendors in the area with the park is, with the water. When it's done in the spring, I can look more closely. I couldn't determine that, but we can get enough people, I think, in the parking lot is normally, it's quite large, and on the sidewalk, and that's what we normally do. And then people park behind Town Center. There's a very large lot. It's kind of the secret lot of Bartlett. It's really convenient, so there's a lot of parking there, and then people can park here at Village Hall and also at the Metro. So there's a lot of parking available. So that's we would also have in keeping with the Global Arts Festival, we would have each concert have a little bit of a Latin or a European or some kind of, we do a lot with the sister city, so the first one in June would celebrate like Asian Heritage Month, and so we'll have try to keep that whole global kind of idea going with the music, and we'll have also opening acts, which would be local organizations, dance organizations, and some musicians.
I think that sounds great, and I think there's one thing to point out is that in Bartlett, I feel like there's pretty much something every weekend going on in the summer. There's some kind of event, and Arts in Bartlett has been
Yeah,
a
if
big
we
part
had
of that.
4 more, yeah, you're right. Everybody's schedule will be busy. I try to work around 4th of July and Oktoberfest, and I'm not sure if there's, and also the fire group is their event, so hopefully I could publish the days and it wouldn't interfere with what they're doing as well, so that's the idea.
And I don't think this has any impact on receiving the funding, but with that spot that's for sale, would we be able to help, like, relocate if something comes of that? And
We work with the owners at every building. If that parcel, I shouldn't say were to be developed, but when it is developed, we'll work with them. But that process would probably be well elongated after this season if that property did get developed.
Yeah, it would be difficult to have the concert if they were developing, just like couldn't do it when the park was getting developed. I don't know when or if they'll sell it. I agree with Scott. I talked to the 2 men who purchased the commercial space all the time because we rent from them. So, and asked them, obviously, if we could do something like this, and they're all for any kind of events we would have to help drive more traffic to Town Center.
I'm going to ask a question, and this isn't directed at Arts of Bartlett at all. In the past, this group, when it has approved a funding request, we know that there's a budget behind it. Is there a budget already in place for this type of civic funding?
The village operates on a fiscal year, so the budget starts May 1.
Yes.
Typically, what we'll do is put in the suggested amounts within the draft budget, but getting this process started earlier tonight, and then going on to the village board for vote will give us the appropriate time to make sure it's budgeted. So, in short, yes, the budget dollars would be available should this group give a positive recommendation and then the village board votes on it. It will be budgeted, yeah.
So as I'm thinking this through, though, so the requests come through tonight, and depending on how that goes, and then we say, okay, we've spent X% of that budget just in case more groups come at future meetings, that we still know we have some reserve left for other groups to step forward and say, we'd like to have our event funded as well. I mean, how do we know what we have?
We have a pretty firm system in place and a deadline, a soft deadline, because it is our civic groups and it is volunteers. But we email and contact every civic group that has an event, so they're well aware of these opportunities. Okay. If somebody were to come after the village board passed the budget, we would have to probably tell them that to come around next time and apply.
Just making sure.
Absolutely.
If you have any other questions at any point, you can send us an email. Thank you all for your time. Appreciate it.
Chairman Ganzi, do you want to go through these one-on-one, or do you want to wait till the end, or do you want to talk about recommendations? now or keep
I guess
going?
I thought it was intended that each organization had a few minutes to speak about it.
Yeah.
So I think we
Okay,
should
we'll keep
keep
going.
going.
Okay, sounds good.
Bartlett Lions Club? This one
Next,
is for the parade.
yep.
Hello, my name's John Sias. I'm with the Bartlett Lions Club. We have been involved with our partner, the 4th of July Festival, for I think it's been decades, if I'm not mistaken. We host the parade, and the fest takes care of everything else. And there's some dynamics that have changed, and it was an opportunity for the Lions Club to fully fund the parade this year. And that's the nature of our request, is we requested funding to pay for the performers and the acts and the participants in the parade. And I suspect, if not everybody up here has been there, I bet you the overwhelming majority has been to our event. I think it's very well attended. I believe it's very well run. It's my club, but I think it's well run. It is as woven into the fabric of this town as this stuff gets, in my opinion. And we'd be happy to take any questions about it. I can put more color on the event, but that is the nature of our request for the floats, bands, entertainers, participants in the parade.
I don't see insurance, the expense of insurance. In the past, when I was involved in events, insurance was a big deal.
I would agree with that statement, yes. I do not differ with that at all. I believe, I'm fortunate that there's somebody else here who might know this subject better than me, but I believe our club has insurance through the Lions International Foundation. Are you nodding, Dave? Okay, yes. I believe we're covered because we're part of such an enormous organization. I believe that very real consideration is covered.
Okay.
To Bruce's point, there's always event insurance that's above and beyond your general liability.
I believe that is correct. Do you feel good about that, Dave? Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. That is correct.
Thank you.
And just to make note again, I know you said it, but before this year, the parade was under the 4th of July umbrella, so it's now separated. And before, the Lions Club has only asked for $500, just so they haven't utilized this program as much as some of the other organizations.
Thank you for saying that. I probably should have said that myself, but that is the nature of why the Lions Club, specifically our entity, why our request is larger than it's been in past years. The partnership of the 4th of July is still there. It's just some dynamics are changing in who's paying for the acts, and that will be us, assuming this goes well.
And I think according to this also, the organizations each put forward the different line items and everything, and just because they don't have insurance listed doesn't mean that that's not a probable expense, but they may not have wanted that as part of this consideration. And this being the first time we're kind of going through this process, I have a feeling a lot of the organizations, when they come forward next year, will have it much more detailed and outlined, so.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, next, do we have anyone from Ignite the Courage? No, right?
No, nobody here is from Ignite the Courage, but they're relatively newcomers to the civic group scene, and they've been doing some good work in the community. Last year, they held a comedy show in February and a Smoke and Irons Music Fest in August. And this year, they're also planning a Christmas concert in the evening at the Fire Barn. And they, one of their goals is to raise money and give back to the community. A lot of it is cancer focused. This year, they're requesting $10,000 in civic group funding. And the funds will be allocated to their annual fundraiser and really a lot of the infrastructure that Arts and Bartlett's discussed, stage, operations, entertainment, and things of that nature. And their request is the same as it was last fiscal year, and it does align with the matrix suggested max. And I apologize they couldn't be here this evening.
Scott, did the application, I know this is just out of curiosity, have like the number of attendees? I wasn't able to make the Smoke and Iron Fest this year, but it sounds like it has gained momentum. Do you have that?
It has gained momentum. I will have to get back to the committee to see if they put number of attendees in there.
Okay. Even though that we don't have anyone here to answer questions, are there any questions from the committee? Okay. All right, we'll move on to the Chamber of Commerce.
Hello, I'm Dan, I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce. We are often thought of as kind of an extension of the village. Many people think we are the village. So, of course, the Chamber is a member-based business organization that promotes economic growth, represents the interest of local businesses, and helps create a strong, thriving community. We do this by supporting local businesses, providing networking opportunities, resources, and advocacy. The funding that we're requesting provides us the opportunity to strengthen our membership and create a broader network of resources for both the business and the community. So we consider ourselves the go-to for the community and local businesses, whether it's a business that maybe sometimes are just starting out, or maybe they're struggling, and they'll come in and do a sit-down with them and try to help them in any way that we can, any suggestions. We also get calls every day from the community looking for referrals. So basically, a lot of people think we are the village, but we're not. We have the same expenses as a business. We have rent and utilities and salary and insurance and all the same expenses. So rather than looking for help with one specific event, we're looking for help with our operations, our day-to-day, so we can support both the businesses and the community. And this year, we're excited. We are offering 2 $1,000 scholarships, which we've already picked the winners on that, and hopefully next year we hope to do even more. Any questions?
So it says here, implement a strategic marketing and community engagement plan. Can you tell us more about that?
No. I mean, it's kind of a work in progress. We have quite a few plans for the new year. We're working on the website, updating that, and just several new programs for the year that we believe will help our businesses and community and hopefully get more involvement.
Does the fees the businesses contribute to the chamber outweigh your expenses?
Do not. Our membership dues do not cover expenses. So that we get from working we work on the Oktoberfest committee with the Lions and Rotary. That brings in some additional income. We have John Blank's here. I know, Kirsten, you're dying because you can think of that. I know you can't say anything. But yeah, just the membership alone does not cover our expenses. So the casino night, golf outing, all of our events are pretty much out, especially all our big events, our community. We also have a travel program, an international travel program that has helped us bring in some income, and that is all community travelers that it's same repeat travelers that we have every time that have really enjoyed getting to know one another, other community members. And so we think of out of the box on any way that we can to bring in some additional income for operating expenses.
In terms of relationship building with our business community, I'll say the Chamber's a great partner. Out of the hundreds and hundreds of businesses we have over in the village of Bartlett, in terms of, employees at Village Hall, it's It's two of us, so we do appreciate their partnership in building up our business community.
And we've been involved too. We were heavily with the tree lighting and the cocoa crawl, and anything that they reach out and ask for help, we try to be involved in and as accommodating as we can. We only have 1.5, and now actually we have an additional employee. So I guess we're 1 and 2 halves. So, but we're trying to build the chamber.
So it's fine, because I think there's at least 5, maybe 6 people up here, so we're just going to have to, we'll still be able to make a recommendation to the board. Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Nan.
Thanks.
All right, Oktoberfest.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Scott, and I'm drawing a blank right now. Tony, right. My name is Dave Berry. I'm the current president of the Bartlett Oktoberfest Foundation, and we submitted an application for $12,000, which is the same amount that we asked for the previous year. And most of that money goes to pay for the soundstage, and that was about $11,000 plus. The remaining funds go to help cover for the tables and chairs. The purpose of that, of the Oktoberfest Foundation, it's made up of the Bartlett Lions, Rotary, and Chamber of Commerce. The funds that we receive after all the expenses are paid are divided in 3 among the organizations for their charitable endeavors. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them to the best of my ability.
I can't either. I guess, can I at least, that's a question though. So it says last year there's 12,000 and now the matrix suggests 10,000. Can you speak to that, please?
The funding that they received in 2026 was 12,000. The funding they're requesting is 12,000. It was the decision of the board, I believe, in the last fiscal year to go above that matrix, given that the matrix was only a suggested limit.
I guess I'm still unclear if it's suggested to give 10,000 or the 12,000. Because it looks like suggested max is 10,000, and it is for next,
The suggested max is based on the matrix
okay.
that was approved. Again, that matrix is only suggestive in nature and is up to the purview of the board, as well as the recommendation this evening.
Okay, so the recommendation we would be forwarding to the board would be for $10,000.
It would be, I apologize, hold on one moment. They're requesting 12, and the matrix suggested max is 10. I don't think it's, I think it's within your purview to recommend their request or follow the matrix.
Scott, can you,
The matrix is really, was devised just to keep some assembly and order within these requests. There is certainly latitude that the committee has. That's correct.
can you kind of define the matrix and how you, what goes into the calculations and everything?
Well, what happened was we took a look at the civic donations when these requests were coming in, and we formalized the program. And what occurred was, the matrix was devised last year. So what the staff did was take the budgeted amount for civic group donations, and we took that amount and we divided it like a pie in between the groups and looked at a couple of things. One, what is the money that they're spending? So in terms of village monies, what they spend dictates what the village would contribute. That, in addition to village expenses that go above and beyond just a cash donation, but also includes village and public works time, and that was taken into consideration as well.
Thank you.
Matrix is just a tool and a guideline, as Commissioner Erickson said.
For what it's worth, I know the Lions Club does a lot of great things, and all these organizations that run these things that are generating income for charitable purposes. It'd be nice to headline some charities that are benefiting at these events. Just a suggestion.
Thank you.
That when I go to Oktoberfest, I know that when I'm buying a bratwurst, some of the money is going to go to help
Correct.
whatever the cause might be. So to headline a cause, just a suggestion.
I'll take that, because we have our organization meeting in mid-January, and I'll make sure that it's part of next year's event. Hundreds of hours have been put in by volunteers in the village to make this thing happen. And there were over 5,000 people that appeared for a two-night event at Leisbrook Park. I mean, it was a fantastic experience, and I hope you can continue to support us.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's like so much overlapping here with everything, every which way. All right, Bartlett 4th of July Committee.
Thank you so much. My name is Austin Hopkins. I'm the current chair of the 4th of July Committee. We put on the Bartlett Fest, the biggest festival in town. The committee has been around for, since '93, I believe. And we always ask the village provides a lot for us. But one of the things we ask for the civic funding is to help fund our fireworks. Currently, we spend about $50,000 on our fireworks, so the money that we ask for helps pay for that. And it's really what we do with that civic funding. But if there's any questions that you guys have, I think I've seen you all at Bartlett Fest over the years, the 20 years I've been on it. But if you guys have any questions about that, feel free.
Yeah, Austin, how many people do you estimate attend during the festival?
I don't know if we've ever had an accurate count, but it's got to be well over 25,000. On the actual 4th, when we light off the fireworks, you have almost all of those fields filled up, all of the whole area is pretty much filled up, and then the nights that it's not the fireworks, if we have a big musical act there, like Seventh Heaven, we got probably close to 10,000 people there. There's a lot that go through there.
So am I correct that your budget is $218,000?
That's correct, yes.
Where does the Bartlett 4th of July Committee get their resources to even afford the
So a majority of our income, it's come from the carnival. We get money from them. We get money from beer sales. We get money from our food vendors, merch vendors, and then we get the village funding. And our budget, we usually break pretty even every year as what we bring in as what we're spending. There's some years where we're under because usually it's weather related, like the past 2 years. We've broke even or have lost money just because we get a rain out and we count on that because we got to pay the bands regardless. So if we have like last year, we had 2 big bands on our last night and we had rain come through and it wiped it out. And so people don't come back to buy beer. And so we lose money that way.
Thank you.
Other questions from the committee?
Thank you guys very much.
So what we're asking for tonight is to forward a recommendation from what you see here to the village board, and then our village board will go through and discuss these as well before granting the civic funding. So if there's anything else right now that you would like to say or bring up, now's the time.
And if they don't have insurance, the event probably will not.
So when we enter, we have to enter for every event the village in the registration process, and it asks for the certificate of insurance.
Yeah, and I'd just like to note that our village board does, things come to our village board that we have to approve prior to it. So like anything from the liquor, closing a road, fireworks, all that does. So there's like checks and balances in place for all the safety things that we need. Oh, well, thank you to pretty much, I think everyone in this room donates their time, so thank you to everybody.
So just a clarification, and I know you guys all have insurance. Does the village require being named as an additional insured? That's what I wanted to make sure. Oh, yeah, I'm sure all of them do. I just wanted to make sure it's out there.
Yeah, but tonight, it's my understanding that if there's anything that you want to add per organization and their request, now's the time to say it. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but do we vote completely? Are we voting or just taking the information and passing it along?
I think a vote would equal a recommendation. I would say, given the folks that are part of the various civic groups that sit up there this evening, I think just as a point of protection for everybody here, I'd probably go through them one by one, unfortunately, given the fact that some of you are.
I think that's what we need to do,
yeah.
too. Agree. So how about we go through each one and we'll do a vote to recommend, add any other questions or information you want before, so we can forward it to the village board.
That sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
The first item is Arts and Bartlett.
All right, so we have Arts and Bartlett. Can I have a motion?
I would actually have a little bit more discussion about it because with this being them self-funding so many of their different items that they do, and they're bringing forward a new event that they haven't done before in a new way, I kind of lean towards supporting their entire request of the $11,900 because it is a brand new venture. They've proven that they're able to be self-sufficient and run these other events. And I think because it's a first-time event, I think it needs a little bit more coddling and support in order for it to actually be successful.
Okay, so we can motion and get a second and add that to a discussion. So kind of a motion to.
I would like to also add to that I've had the pleasure of working with the Arts in Bartlett and very well managed. And I'd like to point out that one of their objectives through the farmers market and the concert series is to drive residents and visitors to downtown Bartlett. And so to have an organization that's trying to bring people to downtown Bartlett as opposed to having an event in a park, I'm all for it. And I'd like at some point, for the record, to when this land is consumed, that they're planning on using this year, it would be nice if somehow we could figure out, with all the parking lots that we have, where we could host events like this in the downtown for this objective, to bring people to the downtown.
So right now, we have a motion, or can I have a motion to approve the full funding at $11,900 for Arts in Bartlett?
So moved.
Okay, so moved by Commissioner Weatherington, seconded by Commissioner Erickson. Any discussion?
I can tell you that over the years that I've been at Bartlett, we used to do events down there where we actually closed the street right there by the fire barn and put a stage across the road. So to see that come back to the town, especially on a monthly basis that draws people into that area and get the following with it. I spend time in a lot of other smaller towns, and the farmers market aspect is something that's unifying and draws a lot of people into that. And if we're gonna really concentrate on vitalizing, the downtown area and really making that the center and heart of Bartlett, I think this event plays through it really well.
I would agree with everything that I've heard. When I first moved to Bartlett, there was a bike rally, and there was some other like street dance, and it was so nice to be in the downtown area, like right, like facing the businesses where you can like pop in and out if you wanted to get something to eat, just kind of getting everyone in the downtown area. So I'll add that input. Anything else? Can we call the roll, please?
Kirsten Erickson. Mike Densford. Bruce Suffern.
Yes.
Stephanie Gansey.
Yes.
Jerry Kabasco.
Yes.
Robert Gorski.
Yes.
Dave Weatherton.
Yes.
Blake Cook.
Yes.
Peggy O'Hare.
Yes.
Kinga Skotek.
Yes.
All right, that will be forwarded to the village board for consideration at an upcoming meeting. So the Bartlett Lions Club Parade, 4th of July Parade. Do I have a motion to approve $5,700 to the Bartlett Lions Club Parade?
I'll motion. I'll second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Erickson, seconded by Commissioner O'Hare. Any discussion?
Just to note the record, they did only request 5,625, but certainly it's within your purview to make it 5,700.
I like even numbers.
This would go again to my question about if there's budget for it, then great. But we don't know.
If this committee recommends an amount and the board votes for it, I would say yes. I would say it's probably more beneficial for this committee to focus on the suggested amounts, and I would say that whether it's budgeted or not would be the primary responsibility for the village board. So when you're looking at these amounts, I would vote on them with the notion that the budget can consume those. So the answer again is yes.
Any other questions?
If I total up all the suggested max on the matrix, does that comprise the entire your annual budget?
Civic group funding?
No, if I just take all the suggested max and add them together, does that total equal the annual budget that's?
The annual budget is still being constructed. This is just a very small part of it. So this would be for fiscal year May 1 starting next year. That budget is being constructed, and this is part of that construction.
On this year's, there's X amount of dollars set aside this year for this purpose?
For this current
Yeah.
year, there are a few requests that vary within this document, but I would say that between this year and next fiscal year, I would say the numbers are very close, that any differences are pretty minute.
But every year, there's a certain amount allocated by the village to budget these requests?
Yes. So
Okay.
it's just that you're seeing this
There's X
evening.
amount of dollars every year.
What's that?
There's X amount of dollars every year.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
So point of clarification, we're actually voting on FY '27 numbers.
That's correct.
All right. I'm much better now.
Okay. Sorry about that confusion.
Will be budgeted.
Okay. Any other questions? We'll call the roll for the Lions Club 4th of July Parade.
Sounds good.
That was the motion that we did, yes.
Okay. Cabasco? Chair Cabasco?
Pardon?
Calling a roll vote.
Yes or no?
What are we voting on?
Lions, the Lions request.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Mike Densford,
Yes.
Gorski,
Yes.
Weatherton,
Abstain.
Stain, okay, let me get that. Skotak,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
O'Hare? Suffern,
Yes.
Erickson, and Chair Gansey?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Next, can I have a motion to forward the suggested max of $10,000 for Ignite the Courage?
So moved.
All right. Moved by Commissioner Gorski, seconded by Commissioner O'Hare. Any discussion? No? Seeing none, we'll call the roll, please.
Okay. Densford,
Yes.
Gorski,
Yes.
Weatherton,
Yes.
Yes.
Cabasco, Erickson, Chair Gansey,
Yes.
Suffern,
Yes.
Skotak,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
and O'Hare? Okay.
We'll forward that to the village board. Next, can I have a motion to approve $7,500 for the Bartlett Chamber of Commerce?
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Weatherton, seconded by Commissioner Cook. This is the one where some of us will have to abstain. Could we please call the roll?
I was gonna, just say abstain if you have to. Cabasco,
Yes.
Densford,
Abstain.
abstain. Gorski,
Yes.
Weatherton,
Yes.
Erickson? Yep. Skotak?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
O'Hare? Abstain, yep. Chair Gansey?
Abstain.
Abstain.
I'm the chamber.
I'm sorry?
Is in the chamber.
Oh, she was gonna abstain as well? Okay, I got a lot of check marks here, so let me change that to abstain. And Suffern?
Abstain.
Abstain, okay, so we had 6 abstains. Four to 0 vote.
Well, we'll forward it to
that.
the village board
Yes.
and consult with our village attorney.
Right.
Vote, like that.
You have, right, you
I
have
mean,
to
it'll be
abstain if
fine.
you have-
All right, next we have the Bartlett Oktoberfest. Can I have a motion to approve the $10,000 from the suggested max for Bartlett Oktoberfest?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Yeah. So motion by Commissioner Gorski, seconded by Commissioner O'Hare. Any discussion? No? All right, call the roll.
Okay, Suffern,
Yes.
Densford?
Abstain.
Abstain. Gorski?
Yes.
Skotek?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
Kabasco?
Yes.
Erickson? Abstain. O'Hare? Yes. Weatherton?
Abstain.
Abstain. Chairperson Gansey?
Yes. All right, and finally, we have the Bartlett 4th of July. Can I have a motion to suggest the max $15,000 for the Bartlett 4th of July Fest?
I'll second.
So motion by Commissioner Erickson, second by Commissioner Suffern. Any questions, any discussion?
I just wonder about the fireworks part. If somehow, don't get me wrong, I love fireworks, but can we add something like we did during Saturday, some maybe lights show instead of fireworks? Like reduce a little bit of fireworks and put the lights? Because that would be great, because I see all the time on the Facebook when it's like fireworks, the dogs disappearing for the houses, and that is like the biggest concern.
We're investigating trying to incorporate some type of a light show or drone show with it, but
We can put some people with a fire or something, But yeah, that is only like my question or concern. We can do something with that part.
All right. Any other questions? Any other discussion? Could we please call the roll?
Skotek?
Yes.
Skotek.
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 Yes.
Okay. Gorski?
Yes.
Suffern?
Yes.
O'Hare? Kabasco?
Yes.
Cook?
Abstain.
Weatherton?
Yes.
Densford?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
And Chairperson Gansey?
Yes. All right, thank you for everyone that came tonight and gave us information on organization. It'll be forwarded to the board for a future meeting. Next, we have a Marion Brght update, and first, I just want to thank everybody involved in the planning. We start planning this about 9 months out before the event. I think my favorite comment online was that it felt like Stars Hollow, which was a Gilmore Girls reference, so that gave me a sense that we did a good job. Thank you.
I thought it was a different town.
So a special thanks to everyone on that committee that we have, especially our very own Santa Claus.
Ho, ho, ho.
And then a really big thanks to the village for everything you do. I know Scott was running around all week to make sure that we had everything together for that. So great event, so I'll turn it over to the village to give more of an update.
Yeah, no, it was, to echo Chairman Gansey's sentiment, it was a really great event. A lot of great volunteers and a lot of hard work went into it. We had a new addition this year several new additions, really, was the parade, which was really well received. Vehicles from all the taxing bodies decorated their trucks and came out and went from Eastern Avenue all the way to the park, and that was really an incredible scene through our downtown. In addition to that was the laser light show. We had horses and trolleys, and of course the beautiful setup that the Lions Club offers for Santa and Mrs. Claus to greet the kids in the community. And we have a new tree this year that is rather impressive and will be certainly a centerpiece of the event going forward. And if you haven't seen any, it looks better. The pictures are incredible. So it really was a great event. And following that, this upcoming Saturday, we have the Cocoa Crawl, and I believe As of this morning, we had 300 and I want to say 50 participants, which I think maybe, was it more than that? Okay, Nan's telling me more. So I think we'll probably break a record this year for attendance. And that's with relatively minimal advertising, so we're pretty happy about that. But if you have any questions about those events, we're happy to answer them.
Just to add to the Mary and Brght, I was unable to attend, unfortunately, but I went all over the social media to check the comments, basically, and we all know how negative people can be on social media, and the comments were overwhelmingly positive, though. And all the pictures and videos look fantastic, so I just wanted to give a big thumbs up to everybody who put that together.
Yeah, and we're happy to receive the negative feedback as well, because we find a lot of that to be helpful. So, but yeah, it was overwhelmingly positive.
This is just a commentary on, so from the parade piece, which I know was new, but the fire truck went first and the choir followed them, so you've got singers who cannot be heard because the fire truck is blasting his horns. So I don't know if that was alignment that was totally well set up, because even if you're walking behind the choir, you cannot hear them. So.
Yeah, that's really good input, and we'll evaluate the parade when we have our recap. So we'll definitely take, that's good, a good thought, and we'll take that under advisement for sure.
All right.
One thing is we've been going the last few years, and only recommendation I would have, having being a parent of a kid with special needs, can we somehow get a light on the park? Because, and not only a kid with special needs, but just random kids. Like, you go to look for your kids after the event or during the event, and every kid looks the same because it's very dark in that corner of the slides and all
Sure,
that. You know
sure.
what I mean?
It is not, that park is owned by the Park District.
Okay.
And we have consulted with them on your request.
Just during the event.
Yeah,
Just during the
they.
event, not in
Sure.
any other times.
Sure, and they've advised us that their insurance company will not give them the go-ahead to light that park.
Really?
That's what we've been advised, yeah.
Sounds completely, well, I might have to.
I'd love to volunteer to be on the committee for next year. I'd love to volunteer for next year. One little suggestion I would make, and I would borrow from the, I think it's the fire department's concert, when they have the kind of the roving DJ that has the portable mic kind of talking periodically during the event. I think there could be, that he could be a place for lost people to go to, and/or to kind of direct people repeatedly. If you're interested in going on the carriage ride, line up over there. Don't miss this over here and that over there. And so we loved it. You know, we had 10 people there, but we could have used some guidance as to where to go.
I think that's really good feedback. We've got so many elements that we've put together in that, and there's so many things going on, from a food truck or the nice heated 65-person there. We got the bonfires, we've got the character visits, we got the line for Santa, we got hot cocoa, we got a chocolate chip. I think that's kind of like, if you look at New Year's Eve, that's coming up in a couple weeks here, and you got people that are popping around and hopping in what's going on, that could be a really interesting dynamic. I think that's a great
Yeah, I think that was a great piece
opportunity
of
for us.
feedback, because I was surprised to, like, how many people there, like, we're all used to looking at the map by that time, so it's like you have it down, but they're like asking, like, where to go for things, like, where's the hot chocolate? Where's this, where's that? So I like that idea. Thank you, Bruce.
Sure.
You could even tie in events with that are happening at that live remote that would draw people to that area. Maybe we do some type of giveaways or some special photos, something like that. I think that would keep people engaged through the whole event. I mean, it is a fairly large event. It's cold out, but if we show them there's a lot of activity, I think that's a great idea.
You were Santa?
I was.
I tell you what.
In my heart.
You did it when, When you were selling Bartlett, you know, and talking about Bartlett, I was bursting with pride.
Yeah.
So good job.
It's from the heart, been a long time.
He's been around.
Yes, thousands of years.
I know the other feedback I heard from a lot of people, even prior to the event, was to have the light show right after the lighting, just since it is a cold weather event, like kind of just keep the momentum going and then let people do what they're going to do in the park. So that was something I heard, and I thought that was a good piece of advice.
Or if they had 3 shows, spacing every half hour or something.
Yeah.
To give you a weird idea about this thing has grown, 5 to 7 years ago, we actually did the visits with Santa at the Lions in the log cabin, and we shared our space with the chamber when they were inside doing the hot cocoa. That's how small this was, and that was 6 years ago. You think of, you know, the fuse we lit and how it exploded over the whole park, and now we're taking over parts of the town. You know, with the parade and maybe some of the, I saw some of the businesses joining into the Marion Brght activity. I think that this is something that's ignited pretty well and will do well for our community. We had terrific support through the village on our communications. WGN had the interview with the mayor on Thursday. We had radio hotspots, just a little thing that we did with the club that I'm involved with. We did an amplification through our social media, and we spent a total of $6. And for that $6, the amplification returned over 900 hits with people reserving and saving it, and we knew that we were drawing all the way up to Long Grove and down to Oswego area. So this is starting to gain a lot more momentum. I think moving it to Saturday was
Yeah,
And-
Saturday
an
was
awesome idea for
And
us.
in addition to your $6, the village spent $36
So
as
there we
we've
are,
begun to
42
dip
bucks.
our feet into amplification as well.
Yeah, it's right now we're learning, and as we do activities here through this committee and we start engaging against some of our organizations, the world's a different place. It's a new way. We have to embrace those things, how we're getting our message out and what we're talking to, and I think we're finding some of those things out, and it's proven successful for the village to really get us, you know, that hometown hallmark feeling of every day out of the year throughout the seasons. They'll want to be here with us, so it's good for the community.
Thank you. All right, that takes us to new business. Do we have anything from the village to bring up?
I will say that one thing that's in your packet that we didn't discuss tonight is called we did pitch a name change. The Belong in Bartlett Business Grant, I believe, is the new name. You were given that just as a preview to kind of read and look over. It's going to be a big part of what you do. It's not a TIF. It's really just a financial incentive, both for recruitment and retention. The guidelines are in your packet. I would encourage you to kind of look at that and study that a little bit at your leisure. And in January at the next meeting, we'll give you a lot more background information on the program, why it was set up, where it's going, how it compares to other communities. We'll bring that to you in January for further discussion, and then subsequently look to formalize that program and send your thoughts and recommendations to the board. So if you have any thoughts on that program, we could certainly answer any questions that you have if you did gaze over it this evening. But we will go more in depth in it at the next meeting. But we wanted to give you a head start on it. So keep that in mind as we move forward to the next meeting.
Scott, is that's not replacing the beta?
It is. It's essentially.
Okay, I read
yeah,
it a few
it's-
times and I just didn't understand what.
View it as a
Like an extension of
a
it?
beta with just a few new guidelines in it.
Okay. Those guidelines aren't in the email, right? Because when I looked through it.
There is a
I think
second.
Scott
Yeah,
said
it was a second
separate
PDF,
attachment.
yeah.
So it is definitely changing. And at our last meeting, our board suggested to send it to this committee. Okay, so we really do want to hear the feedback on it, how it was run before. We feel like it did great things, ran its course, and, you know, we're looking to change it up, so there's some different guidelines in there, like more focused on exterior. I have my vision for it, and I'll talk about that next time. But we really want all of you to take a look at that document, read through it, understand it, so when we come back next time and we're talking about it, there's some like input that you can give. for it.
And the budget amount for that is going to be put before the board is the same as it's been in previous years. So in terms of the financial aspect of the budget, currently the monies are there for this program.
All right. Thank you. Anything else? With that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay. All right. Motion by Commissioner O'Hare, seconded by Commissioner Dunsford. We are adjourned. Or do I have to vote for that? No, we're adjourned.
One in favor, right?
We're in favor. That was a long one.